Imagine a man who walks alone, not because he has to, but because he chooses to. He chooses solitude not as a retreat from the world, but as a way to master it. This man is Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, a philosopher, and an artist. But his life wasn't just about wielding a blade. His true power came from his ability to master himself, and his story holds a shocking truth. Loners, those who embrace solitude, possess an unstoppable power that most people never understand. Let me take you on a journey into the mind of a man who lived 5 centuries ago, but whose principles are so timeless they still resonate today. Imagine Musashi as a young man. He was not born into greatness. He was not gifted with a silver spoon or an easy path. He fought his first duel at the age of 13 and killed a man. From that moment, his life became a series of battles, but each one was more than a fight, it was a lesson. Musashi realized early on that the only person he could truly rely on was himself. This is where the power of solitude begins.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Have you ever felt like the world is moving too fast, like everything around you is noise, and no one truly understands you? Musashi understood this feeling deeply. He believed that to master life, you must first master your own mind. He said, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain." This quote is not just about strategy, it's about individuality. Musashi lived in a world where conformity was expected, yet he rejected it. He chose his own path, and in doing so, he discovered a profound truth. When you walk alone, you are free to create your own destiny. But walking alone is not easy, is it? Society tells us that we need others to validate us. We are taught to fear solitude, to see it as loneliness. But Musashi teaches us that solitude is not loneliness, it is power. When you are alone, you are free from distractions. You have the space to think, to reflect, to grow. You can confront your fears, your weaknesses, and your doubts because there is no one else to blame. This is the first lesson of solitude. It forces you to confront the truth about yourself. Think about your own life. How much of your time is spent trying to fit in, to please others, to meet expectations that aren't even your own? Musashi would say that this is a waste of energy. He believed that true strength comes from within. He once wrote, "Perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye." This is a profound statement. It means that the most important battles are not fought with swords or fists, they are fought in the mind. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to see beyond the surface, to understand yourself and the world on a deeper level. Let's pause here for a moment. Imagine Musashi meditating in a quiet forest, his sword by his side. He is not thinking about his next opponent or his next victory. He is thinking about life itself, about the principles that govern the world. This is where his true power came from, not his skill with a sword, but his ability to see the bigger picture. He understood that the mind is the ultimate weapon. If you can control your mind, you can control your life. Now, let's talk about discipline. Solitude is not just about being alone, it's about what you do with that time. Musashi was relentless in his pursuit of mastery. He didn't just practice swordsmanship, he studied philosophy, art, and even calligraphy. He believed that all skills are connected, that mastering one thing helps you master everything. This is a lesson that applies to all of us. Whatever your goal is, whether it's building a business, creating art, or improving yourself, the path to mastery requires discipline. And discipline is easier to cultivate when you are alone, because there are no distractions, no excuses. But here's the shocking truth: solitude is not just a tool, it's a test. When you are alone, there is no one to encourage you, no one to hold you accountable. You must rely entirely on yourself. This is why so few people embrace solitude. It's hard. It forces you to face your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities. But Musashi teaches us that these challenges are not obstacles, they are opportunities. Every fear you face, every doubt you overcome, makes you stronger. This is the second lesson of solitude. It builds resilience. Do you know what's interesting about Musashi's life? Despite his countless victories, he never considered himself invincible. He knew that the world is unpredictable, that even the strongest warrior can be defeated. This is why he valued adaptability. He once said, "You must be able to adapt to any situation at any time." This is a lesson that is more relevant today than ever. The world is changing faster than ever before, and those who cling to the past will be left behind. But those who embrace change, who adapt and grow, will thrive. Adaptability is another gift of solitude. When you are alone, you are free to experiment, to fail, and to try again without fear of judgment. This freedom allows you to grow in ways that are impossible when you are surrounded by others. You become more flexible, more creative, and more resilient. You learn to rely on yourself, and in doing so, you discover a power that cannot be taken away. Now, let's bring this back to you. What can you learn from Musashi's life? The first step is to embrace solitude, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity. Start with small steps. Spend an hour each day alone, without distractions. Use this time to reflect, to plan, to grow. Ask yourself, what are my goals? What are my fears? What is holding me back? Be honest with yourself. This is your time to confront the truth. The second step is to cultivate discipline. Choose one skill, one goal, and commit to it. Practice it every day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Remember Musashi's words, the way is in training. Mastery is not about talent, it's about persistence. It's about showing up every day, no matter what. The third step is to embrace adaptability. Life will not always go as planned. There will be setbacks, failures, and surprises. But these are not reasons to give up, they are opportunities to grow. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I adapt? How can I use this to become stronger? As you take these steps, remember that the journey will not be easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you feel like giving up. But these moments are where the real growth happens. They are the moments that separate those who succeed from those who don't. Musashi understood this. He knew that the path to mastery is not a straight line, it's a series of challenges, each one an opportunity to grow stronger. So are you ready to embrace the power of solitude? Are you ready to confront the truth about yourself and take control of your life? If you are, then you are already on the path to greatness. Because the shocking truth is this: the loner is not weak. The loner is not lost. The loner is the one who has the courage to walk their own path, to face their fears, and to become unstoppable. Now that we've explored the foundation of solitude and its transformative power, let's take a deeper dive into how Miyamoto Musashi's life reveals the essence of what it means to harness this power to its fullest potential. To truly understand why loners hold unstoppable power, we must unravel another layer of Musashi's philosophy. His life wasn't just a tale of individualism, it was a testament to the strength of inner clarity, the discipline of simplicity, and the ability to see beyond illusions. These principles, when embraced, can set you apart in a world that thrives on conformity and distraction. One of Musashi's most profound teachings comes from his book, The Book of Five Rings. In it, he says, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything. This statement is deceptively simple, but contains a universe of wisdom. What Musashi is teaching us here is that mastery of one thing leads to mastery of all things. But this mastery is not about superficial knowledge or skill. It's about going so deep into something, whether it's a craft, a discipline, or even your own mind that you begin to see the universal truths that connect everything. Think about this for a moment. Most people live their lives skimming the surface. They dabble in one thing, then another, constantly chasing novelty or the approval of others. But this approach never leads to true power. Musashi, on the other hand, focused intensely on mastering his craft, and through that process, he uncovered insights that applied to every area of life. This is why loners, those who embrace solitude, often seem to possess a wisdom and strength that others lack. When you have the time and space to go deep, to focus, you begin to see connections that others miss. But how can you apply this principle to your own life? The first step is to choose a way. This doesn't mean you have to become a swordsman or a warrior. Your way could be anything: building a business, creating art, mastering a sport, or even developing your own character. The key is to commit fully. Stop chasing distractions. Stop worrying about what others think. Choose one thing and dive deeply into it. With time, you'll begin to see the connections that Musashi spoke of. You'll start to understand the principles that govern not just your craft, but life itself. This focus and depth are what separate true power from superficial success. Musashi's life demonstrates this clearly. He wasn't just a swordsman, he was a thinker, a strategist, and an artist. His ability to excel in so many areas wasn't because he scattered his energy, but because he understood the underlying principles that connect them all. He knew that mastery is not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it better. This is the second lesson of solitude. It allows you to simplify your life and focus on what truly matters. Let's talk about simplicity for a moment. In today's world, simplicity is often misunderstood. People think it means having less or doing less. But for Musashi, simplicity was about clarity. It was about cutting away everything that is unnecessary so you can focus on what is essential. He once said, "Do nothing that is of no use." This is a principle that can transform your life. How much of your time and energy is spent on things that don't truly matter? How much of your mental space is filled with distractions, fears, and doubts that serve no purpose? When you embrace solitude, you gain the clarity to see what is truly important. You can strip away the noise and focus on what will move you forward. This is why loners often seem so focused and determined. They are not weighed down by the opinions of others or the distractions of the world. They have the freedom to pursue their goals with a single-minded intensity that is almost impossible to achieve in a crowd. But simplicity is not just about focus. It's also about freedom. Musashi lived a life of simplicity not because he had to, but because he chose to. He understood that the more you own, the more it owns you. The more you are attached to, the more you are controlled by it. This is why he lived as a wanderer, carrying only what he needed and leaving behind anything that didn't serve his purpose. This is the third lesson of solitude. It frees you from attachments, allowing you to live with greater clarity and purpose. Now, let's address a question you might be asking yourself. If solitude is so powerful, why do so many people fear it? The answer lies in one word: discomfort. Solitude forces you to confront yourself. It strips away the distractions and excuses that we use to avoid facing our fears, our insecurities, and our doubts. It's much easier to lose yourself in the noise of the world than to sit alone with your thoughts. But this discomfort is where the magic happens. Musashi understood this deeply. He didn't shy away from discomfort, he embraced it. He knew that growth only happens when you step outside your comfort zone. This is the fourth lesson of solitude. It forces you to grow. When you are alone, you have no one to lean on, no one to blame. You are forced to take full responsibility for your life. This can be terrifying, but it's also liberating. It means that you have the power to change, to improve, to become the person you want to be. But this power only comes to those who are willing to face the discomfort of solitude. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly sat alone with your thoughts? Not scrolling through your phone, not distracting yourself with TV or music, but truly alone. If you can't remember, you're not alone. Most people avoid solitude because it's uncomfortable. But if you want to unlock the power that Musashi spoke of, you need to embrace it. Start with small steps. Spend just 10 minutes a day sitting in silence. Use this time to reflect, to think, to confront whatever is holding you back. Over time, you'll find that this practice becomes not just easier, but deeply rewarding. One of the most remarkable aspects of Musashi's life is that he didn't just use solitude to master himself, he used it to understand the world. He saw patterns and principles that others missed because he had the time and space to think deeply. This is the fifth lesson of solitude. It gives you perspective. When you are constantly surrounded by noise and distractions, it's hard to see the bigger picture. But when you step back, when you create space for reflection, you begin to see the world in a new way. This perspective is what allows loners to achieve what others cannot. It's what gives them the clarity to make bold decisions, the courage to walk their own path, and the strength to persevere when others give up. Musashi understood this deeply. He knew that the key to greatness lies not in the approval of others, but in the mastery of oneself. As we come to the end of this section, let me leave you with a question. Are you willing to embrace the discomfort of solitude to unlock your true potential? Are you willing to strip away the noise, the distractions, and the excuses to discover who you really are? If the answer is yes, then you are already on the path to greatness. Because the shocking truth is this: the power of the loner is not in their isolation, but in their ability to use solitude as a tool for growth, clarity, and mastery. And now that we've laid the groundwork for understanding the power of solitude and delved into Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy of mastery, simplicity, and clarity, it's time to explore the emotional and spiritual dimensions of this journey. Musashi's life is not just a roadmap for personal success, it's a guide to something far deeper, a way to transcend the limitations of the world and discover the ultimate freedom that comes from within. This is where the shocking truth about loners truly becomes transformative. It's not just about being strong or skilled, it's about tapping into a level of existence that few ever reach. Musashi once said, "In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close, and to take a distanced view of close things." This profound quote points to a skill that is essential for anyone seeking true power perspective. What does it mean to see distant things as if they were close? It means understanding the long-term consequences of your actions, seeing beyond the immediacy of the moment. And what does it mean to take a distanced view of close things? It means not getting caught up in the emotions and distractions of the present. This ability to see clearly, both near and far, is what allows loners to navigate life with a sense of purpose and direction that others lack. Let's break this down further. Most people are trapped in the immediacy of their lives. They react to situations without thinking, driven by emotions, desires, and fears. They chase short-term pleasures and avoid discomfort, never considering the long-term impact of their choices. But Musashi teaches us that true power comes from stepping back, from seeing the bigger picture. This is why solitude is so important. When you are alone, you have the time and space to reflect, to think deeply, and to gain perspective. You can ask yourself, where am I going? What am I doing? Is this path leading me to where I want to be? Perspective is not just about strategy, it's about freedom. When you can see beyond the immediate, you are no longer controlled by it. You are no longer a slave to your emotions or your circumstances. You become the master of your own destiny. This is the sixth lesson of solitude. It gives you the power to see clearly and choose wisely. But gaining perspective is not enough. To truly unlock the power of solitude, you must also cultivate inner peace. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of Musashi's philosophy, because it requires you to confront not the world, but yourself. Musashi understood this deeply. He knew that the greatest battles are not fought with swords, but within the mind. He said, "The ultimate aim of martial arts is not having to use them." This statement reveals the essence of his philosophy. True strength is not about fighting, it's about transcending the need to fight. It's about achieving a state of inner peace that cannot be disturbed by the chaos of the world. How do you achieve this inner peace? The first step is to let go of attachment. Musashi lived a life of detachment, not because he didn't care, but because he understood that attachment leads to suffering. When you are attached to something, whether it's a possession, a person, or even an idea, you give it power over you. You become afraid of losing it, and this fear controls you. But when you let go of attachment, you become free. You can engage with the world fully, without fear or hesitation, because you know that your peace comes from within, not from anything external. This is the seventh lesson of solitude. It teaches you to let go. When you are alone, you have no choice but to confront your attachments. You realize how much of your happiness depends on things outside of your control, and you begin to see the futility of this dependence. This realization is not easy. It can be painful to let go of the things you once thought you needed, but it is also liberating. When you let go, you discover a kind of strength and peace that cannot be shaken. Let's pause here for a moment and reflect on what this means for you. What are you attached to? What are you afraid of losing? What is holding you back from achieving true peace and freedom? These are not easy questions, but they are essential. Take some time to sit with these questions. Write them down if you need to. Be honest with yourself. This is your opportunity to confront the truth and take the first step toward letting go. Now, let's move to the spiritual dimension of Musashi's philosophy. For Musashi, life was not just about survival or success, it was about alignment with the natural order of the universe. He believed that everything in life follows certain principles, and the key to mastery is to align yourself with these principles. This is why he studied not just swordsmanship but also art, calligraphy, and philosophy. He understood that the same principles that govern combat also govern creation, relationships, and even the mind. This is the eighth lesson of solitude. It connects you to something greater than yourself. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to step back from the noise of the world and tune into the rhythms of life. You begin to see the patterns, the connections, the flow of energy that underlies everything. This is not just a philosophical idea, it's a practical truth. When you align yourself with these principles, you move through life with greater ease and effectiveness. You stop fighting against the current and start flowing with it. But how do you achieve this alignment? The first step is to listen. Spend time in silence, in nature, or in meditation. Pay attention to the subtle cues of life, the way things unfold, the way challenges arise, and the way solutions present themselves. The more you listen, the more you'll begin to understand the natural order of things. And as you align yourself with this order, you'll find that life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. Musashi's life was a testament to this alignment. He didn't just fight his battles, he flowed through them. He didn't just live, he harmonized with life itself. This is why he was unstoppable. His power didn't come from brute force or sheer will, it came from his ability to see the truth, to let go of what didn't matter, and to align himself with what did. As we approach the end of this journey, let me leave you with one final challenge. Embrace solitude not as a retreat from the world, but as a way to master it. Use it to gain perspective, to cultivate inner peace, and to align yourself with the principles that govern life. Remember Musashi's words, "The way is in training." This is not a one-time effort, it's a lifelong practice. But if you commit to it, if you embrace the discomfort and the challenge, you will discover a power within yourself that is truly unstoppable. The shocking truth is this: the loner is not someone who is isolated or disconnected. The loner is someone who has the courage to face themselves, to master their mind, and to align with the deeper truths of life. This is the path that Musashi walked, and it is a path that is open to you if you are willing to take it. Are you ready to take the next step?